Assalamu alaikum everyone, Exhibition Cadet Sabir Shah for my channel Aviation Cadet 9936. One of Pakistan's Mirage 5 crashed near Sargodha Air Base, and both the pilots ejected safely. So the Indian media started crying about that J-10C crashed. Well, I think Indians should follow their own air chief as well, and the representative during the press conference as well, their CDC, Chief of Defense Staff, or CDS, that losses are the part of war. Although it's a non-war time at the moment, peacetime, and losses are part of aviation. I mean, you guys have lost about 450 MiG-21 Bisons since they got inducted into Indian Air Force. And this data is from 1998 onwards, 450 losses. About 2,000 people, including on ground and on the aircrafts, have been killed. And you guys say that J-10C, if there was a J-10C, we have no problems with that. Losses are part of training. But it was not J-10C. It was as old as MiG-21s, which you have grounded now, shove a bamboo up their arses and then put them on the squares. It is as old as that one, yet flying, and they're not called flying coffins. Although one of my course mate, Wing Commander Fayaz, he embraced martyrdom, shahadat, on the same aircraft. One of my seniors, Sir Asim Paracha, he also lost his life on the same aircraft and embraced shahadat. So it was not J-10C, one thing. Second, the heroic efforts done by this pilot are amazing. Okay, first of all, the disclaimer again, as usual, that this information is not passed to me by Pakistan Air Force or any of the Pakistan Air Force officers serving or retired or no one. This is my own observation, and I got the clips from social media. One was on the Facebook threads, and one video was from Instagram. So I have received two videos altogether, and again by browsing the social media. So now let's break down this pilot's efforts. First, you watch the video. So you saw, since the aircraft is appearing in the video, and then this big umbrella of smoke and fire comes out, 12 seconds. And before the nose goes down, 8 seconds. So what was happening here? So as you're seeing, when the aircraft appears in the video, it's coming towards one direction. And that is the time when the pilot already knows that this aircraft is going to crash, because engines have flamed out. The engine have flamed out. So he could right away eject, or they could right away eject, because this is the SOP, standard operating procedure. In case of fire in the engine or the engine fails, then why are you in the aircraft? You need to get out of the aircraft, because pilots are more valuable than the aircrafts. But this aircraft would have gone into the population ahead. The crash site, there's a little village ahead. If the direction it was going on, continuing going, it would have gone into that village, and probably there would be hundreds of casualties on the ground, including property of the people and the lives of the people. This pilot decides that he would turn the aircraft opposite. Now, it seems very looks really easy. I mean, you won't even notice if I don't mention it, that he made a turn and turned the aircraft totally opposite in 4 seconds. That's what it took him. And then they leveled off for about 3 seconds when one by one, first the rear seat ejects and then the front seat. I don't know the sequence here. And I also can't see clearly that if there was any ejection, but Martin Baker, the ejection seats, they confirmed how many lives have been saved today. So there was an ejection right at that time when they were leveled off, because you can't eject in this position, or the aircraft is in this position. You don't eject in this position because it's not good for your back, the spine. Your posture should be straight so that once you eject straight, all the pressure is on your shoulders and then spine to spine, and you don't get any damage. But if you are anywhere in a roll, in pitch up, pitch down, your posture cannot be straight. So this is going to be disastrous for your back. One of my course mates, he did, and he mentions that one. And he did on Mirage 5 as well as the ejection. And he mentions that for how long he stayed in the hospital after that. And even till to the day, that happened like 9 years ago. And still to the day, 13 years ago in 2012. And still to the day, this pain comes back, and especially in fall. So now, Flight Lieutenant Ahmad, when he decided that he's not going to eject out and let this aircraft go rogue and hit that village, so he makes a turn, and this turn is called the High G turn. In a High G turn, the bank of the aircraft is almost 90 degrees, 89.9 degrees. I've mentioned in the previous videos as well. And then he pulls against the gravity. So the aircraft actually pivots in high G turn. It doesn't make a whole like a radius of turn. It actually pivots. See? And this requires a lot of force, 10 times the force of gravity. We call it 10 Gs. And your G suit can prevent only 7 to 8 Gs. The aircraft, this Mirage especially, 9 Gs is the maximum limits it can bear. Otherwise, it's so much pressure that the wings break off right away. We had an incident a couple of years ago on JF Thunder, similar situation. The pilot was trying to save the population on the ground, so he performed that was block 2, by the way, and he performed this high G turn. He pulled 180-degree turn, and wings broke off, and he also went, and because his body also couldn't sustain these kind of G's, so he probably went into G lock and ended up at the ground. Although he did save the population on the ground, but he could not save himself. So salute to that martyr as well. But here, in this case, Flight Lieutenant Ahmad pulled a miracle. He not only got this aircraft was going at whatever speed it was, he got it back onto opposite direction in 4 seconds. So amount of G's he pulled, and he leveled off, and he still was in a condition not G locked at all, that they were able to eject out within 3 seconds. And that's where, and if you see the ejection, as soon as the aircraft levels off, it goes into nosedive directly and then hits the ground nosedive. So what are the reasons for going into nosedive? One is trimming. They normally, in low-level missions, once we're flying low-level, we always trim up the aircraft. What is a trim? A trim is, let's say, we were watching the movies when a person kills a person and then he puts a brick on the accelerator of a car and then throws the car off a cliff. So he's not driving the car, the brick is driving the car. That brick is the trimmer in the aircraft. So you don't want to hold the pressure of any controls on you. So normally you have trimmers on the ailerons, then you have trimmers on the elevators that help you pitch up and down, and then on the rudder that help you left and right. Ailerons are for rolling. So once you are holding a pressure, let's say you're rolling, you trim the aircraft towards left, you can leave the controls, it's still gonna complete the turn. So if you're pitching up, you trim it up, leave the controls, the aircraft is gonna go up. So in low level, you don't want to hit the ground right away. So you always trim up, always, so that if accidentally you release the controls, the aircraft is gonna pitch up. And here in this case, he pitched it down as well. So I think he was holding more than 10 Gs. Why? Because once the aircraft is pitched down, trimmed down, and so you're going against the pressure you have already neutralized, and on top of that, to keep the nose up the horizon. So he was pulling what you call immense amount of G's over here. And meanwhile, he also trimmed it down. Or probably because of the second ejection, the aircraft started to go down. That could also be the reason, but this was definitely trimmed down. Otherwise, we have seen there was an American aircraft, the pilot had ejected and the plane went flying. Reason it was trimmed well. So, and then it crashed somewhere. And one of the Indian aircraft stuff was MiG-21 Bison. That same thing happened. The pilot ejected out long ago, but the aircraft went flying and then finally crashed. So this was, in the video, you can clearly see that it is a Mirage Delta wings, the wings of Mirage aircraft, not a J-10C. And this is all for today's video. I hope you got some knowledge about the skills of Pakistani Air Force pilots. And this boy, Flight Lieutenant Ahmad, is about 23 years of age. That's his age. Okay, 23. And this is what PF trains from the age of 18 years of age. So that's all for today. See you next time. Allah Hafiz.